When you're trying to find the asymptote, you always want it to be set equal to what? 1. So we are going to divide each of these by 36 so that it's equal to 1, and then you need to reduce. So when I reduce, I get x squared over 9 minus y squared over 4 equals 1. When you're finding the slope of your asymptotes, anytime you're finding the slope of a line, it's always what value over what value? Y over x. What you have to be careful of is a lot of people would choose b, but b is not correct. Your y value is actually the square root of these numbers. So it's plus or minus 2 over 3. So the answer is D. Okay? Moving on. Number 25. What are the coordinates of the center? Okay, before I can find the coordinates of the center, what do I need to do? Exactly, we need to complete the square. So I have x squared minus 10x plus blank plus, and then I have y squared minus 4y plus blank equals 7, and then plus blank plus blank. In order to complete the square, what do I do? Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5, and negative 5 squared is? Okay, negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, and negative 2 squared is 4. When I'm writing my equation, this one is going to be x what? Good, x minus 5 squared, plus this one will be y minus 2 squared. This last part doesn't matter because all they want to know is the center. So I'm just not even going to worry about doing that. Okay, so this, as an ordered pair, what would my center be? 5, 2, because whatever's in parentheses comes out as the opposite. So my answer is A. Questions? 26. Find the vertex. This should hopefully be pretty easy. Any number that's in the parentheses, when you bring it out, it becomes, so this is going to be, comma, negative 5. Is this number in parentheses? No, so it stays the same. So that's why it's negative 6, negative 5, so the answer is C. Okay, number 29. It says to find the vertex. Sorry. Okay, so remember, in order to find the vertex, you should use the formula x equals negative b over 2a. So my negative b value would be negative 2 over 2 times, and my a value is negative 1. So I have negative 2 over negative 2, which reduces to positive 1. So right now, I know C and D are not my answers. Okay? A and B have to be. How can I find what my y value is? Plug it back in. So I'm going to go y equals, and then we have negative 1 squared plus 2 times 1 minus 3. So I end up getting negative 1 plus 2 minus 3, which is 1 minus 3, which is negative 2. So the answer is A. One of the questions on your test, though, is just to find the axis of symmetry. So if you have this and you're finding the axis of symmetry is always what? The x value of the vertex. So as long as you know how to do the negative b over 2a, you don't have to go further. You'll find that x equals 1 for your axis of symmetry. Questions? Okay. Number 30. 30 says to find the vertices. Okay, what you have to remember is that when it's subtraction, the vertices are on the whatever comes first. Okay, so when you have the subtraction sign, it's whatever comes first. So that means my vertices are going to be on the x-axis. Okay, so we take the square root of 4, which is 2. And you always have to be careful, because if your center was not at 0, 0, it'd be totally different. So, but in this case, my center's at 0, 0, and then I go 2 to the left and 2 to the right. So that's why it's plus or minus 2, 0.
Is there going to be like an option on the final to where one answer is just positive 2?
don't think so.
It won't confuse us like that?
I don't think so, no. All right, other questions on number 30? Yes?
So vertices are the ones that come first?
When it's a subtraction sign for a hyperbola, it's whichever letter comes first is the side that your vertices are on. Remember, but when it's a plus, if it's an ellipse, it's on whichever one is larger. Okay? Okay. Widgets come in 5 sizes, 6 shapes, and 3 colors. How many widgets would have to be made in order to have one in every possible size, shape, and color? With one like this, all you're doing is multiplying each of your options together. So 5 times 6 is 30, and 30 times 3 is 90. Questions? Moving on. Okay, 34. How many different distinguishable arrangements can be made using the letters main? So remember, for these, you add how many letters are there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it is 5 factorial. And then this is always divided by the letters that repeat factorial. Do any letters repeat there? No. So your answer is just 5 factorial, which is 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And if you multiply that, it equals 120.
That you do that factorial and then whatever subtracts on the bottom, and then you subtract it by something else or add it by something.
That is if you're doing a combination. This isn't a combination. So yeah, when you do the letters things, you just divide by whatever repeats, and if nothing repeats, you don't divide by anything. Okay, we good?
Yeah.
All right, number 35. Same thing, except for I just showed you how to do it, but try to see if you can do that.
Oh my god. What is he doing?
Okay. Are we good on this question? Okay, so there were 7 letters. And then the D's repeated. There were 3 D's, so we divided by 3 factorial. There were 2 O's, so we divided by 2 factorial. And then you have to write this one out. So I did 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, dot, dot, dot. And then I had my 3, dot, 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 and then 2 times 1. Those all canceled. 1 doesn't matter. 2 went into 4 2 times. So 7 times 6 times 5 times 2 was my answer of 420. Was that too fast?
No.
All right, gentlemen, stop. Okay, 37. At the dog pound, there are 3 brown dogs, 4 spotted dogs, 1 white dog, and 1 black dog. If 2 dogs are taken at random, what is the probability that they will be spotted? Remember that whenever you see probability, your answer will be a fraction. So 2 dogs are taken. Okay, it says that they will both be spotted. Well, how many spotted dogs are there? 4, and if you count 3 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1 equals 9. So we've taken 1 spotted dog. There's 1 less spotted dog and 1 less dog total. So that's why it's 3 out of 8 for your second choice. And then you can cross cancel. 3 goes in.
How do you know to multiply what row is in there?
Probability, you always multiply. If you see or, that's when you add, but it'll be specifically you will see or. If you don't see or, you know you're going to multiply. Okay? Are we okay with number? Or is adding. And then remember, if you're adding, you need to double check. You don't need to subtract out something that you may have added twice. Okay? Questions on 37? Moving on. There's a typo on this one, on D, just so you know. Which formula could be used to determine how many cleanup committees comprised of 4 boys and 3 girls can be made if there are 6 boys and 5 girls? Remember that these are combinations. Whenever you see like committees, those kind of things, order doesn't matter, right? If you're on the committee, you're on the committee. It doesn't matter if you're chosen first, second, third, or fourth, okay? But you're going to have to do them separately because you have boys and then you have girls. So you have one combination that's the boys. So that's going to be, you always do the bigger number first. So 6C4. So if we go down here, 6C4, oh, that's the only one that even matches. Okay, and then the girls is 5C3. And this was what should have been 5C3. You're right, and it's the only one that has 2 combinations. You can't add these together and do it like this. You have to do girls and boys separately because they're chosen separately. Since they're not choosing people, they're choosing so many boys and so many girls. That's why you have to do them separately. Questions on 38? Moving on. 39. The television show Dateline is doing a special on 3 Olympic gold medalists. Those are their names. What is the probability that 3 will be featured in alphabetical order? So when it starts out, there's only one that could be the correct one to be in alphabetical order, right? 1 out of 3. That person is gone. Now there's 1 out of 2 left. That person has been gone now, and then you have 1 out of 1 left. And then you multiply across. Like we said, probability, you're always going to multiply unless you see or. And we didn't see or.
So with probability, you can never like leave the problem and come up with the answer. You always have to multiply.
Yes. Unless they're just asking for one event. So like, for instance, if they said, what's the probability of taking 1 red marble out of all of these? You know what I mean? So then you would just take however many reds there are divided by the total.
So like if it said, like, what's the probability of her watching her favorite movie, then that would just be that one movie out of all of them?
Right.
Isn't that what it's asking right here? Like, why isn't it just 1 out of 3?
No, because there's 3 people. So they're wanting to know what's the probability that the 3 will be shown in alphabetical order. So for the first one to be shown in alphabetical order, the probability is 1 over 3. A lot of you are being really rude right now while you're talking and I'm talking. Shh. Are we good?
Yeah,
okay. All right, number 40. Find the probability of drawing 1 card from a standard deck of cards and it being a club or a 9. Focus on that it says or, which means we are going to add. Okay, so hopefully you remember within each of the suits there are 13 cards. So when I'm adding here, we have 13 clubs out of 52 cards. And then how many 9s are there? There are 4 out of 52. But you have to think, where could they overlap? Well, there's a 9 in the clubs and there's a 9 in the 9s, right? So we added that 9 twice, which is why I have to subtract 1 out of 52. So that's how I end up getting 16 out of 52. And then you can divide by 4 to both the top and the bottom, and that reduces to 4 over 13. Yes. So did he tell you where to go? Okay. All right, I have a couple questions here that are not on here that you want to see. There are 15 runners in a race. How many different ways can first and second place be awarded? Yes, good job. 15 options for first place, and then one person's in first place, so then it'll be 14 options for second place. Remember that when order matters, you just have to do like your blanks. So there's 2 choices. It's 15 times 14, and that's your answer. Okay? Next one. So these questions, I did not see them on the final review. Therefore, I wrote them here to make sure you guys saw them because they're on the final. All right? Okay. So 3 red, 4 blue, 5 yellow, 1 white. Okay. 3 marbles are drawn without replacement. What is the probability of choosing 1 red, 1 blue, 1 white? It's going to be multiplication. So 3 are chosen, which means you would have how many fractions? 3. Your first fraction would be what? How many reds are there?
3 out of 16.
Okay. 3 out of 13. Okay. So then it says, and then 1 blue. There are 4 blues, but you've taken a red out. So you have 1 less marble because you've chosen a red. Okay, and then your next one, it says, and 1 white. There is 1 white, but now there's 11 total. And then you cross, cancel, reduce, multiply, and you get that answer. Yes? Okay. 43. Remember on this problem, you need to always do like your totals, where you're doing the totals out of all the sides. Well, but what if he's not there? Give somebody's cell phone number, and then you can start walking through the room. If he's not there, then I'll text you. Okay. Is that okay? So, 43 totals. Okay, so we have 10, we have 9, we have 19, 8, 11. Okay, remember that whenever they say given, that's when you do wherever they overlap on top divided by the total of the second one on the bottom. So if you look here, favorite sport is football. Okay, so we're at football, given the fact that they're between the ages of 40 and 60. So see how there's 4 that are football and that age. And then, so we have 4 on top, divided by the total of that age, because that's what came second. The total is 9. So that's how I get 4 over 9.
Okay.
What is the 34th term in the sequence 9, 6, 3, and so on? So if you look here, you first need to know, well, what is this, arithmetic or is it geometric? Is what they're doing adding and subtracting, or is it multiplying or dividing?
It's multiplying, isn't it? 'Cause that's what the first- Oh, we're on a totally different problem. It's really awkward.
It's subtracting by 3.
So it's like no doing
If it's multiplying or dividing, it's geometric. And if it's adding or subtracting, it's arithmetic. Oh my. Okay.
I do that.
So it's arithmetic. So we get our formula, and they want to find what is the 34th term. Okay, so we're trying to find a sub n, and we're plugging 34 in for n. So when you're doing this, we know that our difference was -3. So that's how I have -3 times 34 minus 1 plus a sub 1 is 9. So then 34 minus 1 is 33. -3 times 33 is -99. Plus 9 equals -90. Okay. Questions?
I don't know what.
You normally, remember, order of operations, PEMDAS, parentheses, so simplify parentheses. No. But if you distributed it like negative 3 through, you would still get the same answer. But it's easier to simplify first. All right, moving on to 47. What is the sum? So if you look here, what is this, arithmetic or geometric? Arithmetic. They're adding 2 between each of these numbers. Okay? So from there, we have to first find what value, like what's the n value for the 25th term in order to use this equation. Because if you have the sum equation, stop. You're going to add your first and your last term together, but you need to know the value of that last term, what the n value is. So when I plug this all in, I end up finding that n equals 13. So see, I put 25 equals 2 because the difference, or what's going on is the difference is 2 times n minus 1. I can't simplify this parentheses, so I distribute the 2 through, so I got 2n minus 2. Negative 2 and positive 1 made negative 1. Get n by itself, so I have to add 1 to both sides. 26 equals 2n. We divide by 2, and I get n equals 13. So now I can use that formula. So I'm plugging in 13 for n, and then a sub 1 was 1, a sub n is 25, and then divide by 2. Ching, please put that away.
Yes.
You guys are being very rude. So we add 1 plus 25 is 26. 2 goes into 26 13 times, so my answer is 13 times 13, which is 169. Questions? Are you confused by something? Can you not read it? Right here? So here, the n equals 13, so that's why I'm plugging in 13. And then my first term is 1, and my last term is 25. So we plugged it into like our arithmetic equation and to find out what value, like what n term 25 was. And then once I found that, then I could use it. Okay? Other questions? Moving on to 51. Hopefully you will not get this answer incorrect. Wrong. 6. It's always one more, because remember you have your 0 term, right? Okay, so the answer is 6. Don't get that wrong in the final, since some of you just got it wrong. Okay.
The easiest question.
All right, expand this. How many terms will it have? 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You might want to write part of Pascal's triangle down if you want to. If not, you could always do like your combinations. But I know that it goes 1, 5. Is it? What is the next one?
1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1.
Is it 10, 10, 5, 1?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then remember we're going to go, this is going to be 2x to the, because you have this 2.
It's 8. Oh,
Okay, and this is going to be 2x to what power?
okay.
Fifth, this would be 2x to the, okay, but I can stop for 1 second. Remember this 5th power goes to both of these, Michael. What is 2 to the 5th power? So this is 32x to the 5th. So A and B are gone. Good. So on this next one, if we're trying to not do too much work, this will end up being y to what power? And if we look, let's see where these don't match. They don't match here, and they don't match here. So what's my last term going to be? Y to the 5th. There's nothing in front of it, right? So I can do C, and I don't even have to do all the work. But do you guys remember how you go down by exponents and then you go back up? And these should both always add to be Like the 2 exponents should add to be 5. Any questions? 53. Find the third term. So we have, this is to the 7th power. So I'd have 8 blanks, but I only want the third term, right? So I'm only going to go 1, 2, 3. If you don't have Pascal's triangle, remember that this will be 0, C7, or no, sorry, I did this backwards, sorry. 7, C0, and then it's going to be 1 and 7, C2. Now, you can actually even do this on your calculator, right? Okay. But if you didn't do it on your calculator, it'd be 7 factorial over 5 factorial 2 factorial. 7 times 6 times 5 dot 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 over 2 times 1 times 5 dot dot dot. I just flip those around so I can, okay? These all cancel, doesn't matter. 2 goes into 6. 3 times, 7 times 3 is, okay, so I have 21. And then it's going to be, because this is going to start on this one will be x to the 7th, x to the 6th, and then this will be x to the 5th. And this will be 2y to the 2nd. And how do we know it was to the 2nd? These have to add to be 7. So now I have to go 2 to the 2nd power, which is 4. So I have 4y squared, and then I have my 21 and my x to the 5th. So then I have to go 21 times 4, which is 84. X to the 5th. Oh, that was y to the 2nd. I don't know why I wrote 5 there. And so the answer is B. All right, but I have a few more questions that are not on this that I think you guys want to see. It's not to be mean, it's to help you. There's some really cool questions on here. Okay. Okay, what is the probability that the letter A is chosen twice if replacement is allowed with the word alto? So,
Is this why it's cool?
yes. So, anybody know what to do on this one?
Yes.
So, we're talking about probability. We're not talking about distinguishable permutations. So, first, there's going to be 2 blanks because we're choosing something twice, right? How many A's are there? 2 out of how many? 5 times. It says replacements allowed. So, you chose an A, you threw it back in. No, you chose an A, you replaced it, you put it back in. 2 out of 5 again. You multiply those together and you get... Good thing we're talking about this because some of you don't know what you're saying. Okay. I hope so. All right, moving on. Let's see what you can do on this one. So, first of all, you have to decide, is this arithmetic or is it geometric?
No,
Arithmetic. What is happening? Adding by 6. So, you're going to do, because your equation is a sub n equals d times n minus 1 plus a sub 1, right? So, we want to find out what term is 149. So, you're going to go 149 equals 6 times n minus 1, because we don't know it, plus 17. And then you'll distribute and solve. So when you do all that, you end up getting 23. Are there questions on this work? I'm going to move on to the next problem. So if you don't know how to do these, what do you want to make sure you do? Pay attention and write it on your card. Because if I'm going over this right now, guess what? Is it going to be on the final? Definitely. The probability is 100%. Okay. Or 1 over 1. Or 1. Yes, you guys know a little bit of math. I don't know if it's algebra 2, but, you know, we'll just go with it. Yeah. Might be lower. Okay. So, write the arithmetic series using summation notation. Okay, so if you were to do this, you know your summation notation is the little e symbol. Okay? We do I equals 1 on the bottom, your n value is on the top, but we don't know what the n value is. We know that the specific value is 25, but we don't know what term number that is. So that's when you have to plug your information into your arithmetic sequence and find what n is. When I do that, I found that n is 13, so 13 is the value that goes on top. When you did all that work, you also were finding that the equation is 2n minus 1 or 2i minus 1. How can you make sure that you have the correct equation? Like plug in, this is like your second, this is your n is 2, right? So if you plug it in, 2 times 2 is 4, and 4 minus 1 is 3. It checks out. Okay? Questions on this? There. You'll have to like kind of, someone needs to plug it and then it'll have to slide in, and somebody might have to like plug it and get, oh yeah, the cord's long enough. Okay, moving on to the math. Away from the refrigerator.
Wait, is
Okay.
this still recording?
Yes. Because these are actually still important for your final. So if you're not listening right now, maybe you want to go back and review the end part. Or maybe the whole thing for some of you. Okay, so in blue is where the question is. It says find the sum, and it gives you that information. What this is saying is that it starts at 1, goes to 50, and you're plugging in these numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 50. What is happening between each term? Is this geometric or arithmetic? Arithmetic. What's happening between each term? They're adding 1. The n value is 50 because we know it goes up to the 50th term. Your first value is 1. Your last value is 50, and you divide by 2. So here, 1 plus 50 is 51. These reduce, and then you get 25 times 51, which makes your 1,275. Moving on. Okay, what is the common ratio? Remember, when you're finding the common ratio, you're dividing. We always do the second term divided by the first term. So be careful. So you could do negative 18 divided by 36. You could have gone 9 divided by negative 18, and then you reduce it, and that reduces to negative 1/2. So with the geometric sequence, you always do your second divided by your first. Questions?
So we did all the
Moving on. Okay. If A equals 4 and R equals 3, what is the fifth term of the geometric sequence? So make sure you have your geometric formula. So here it is right here. They told us that our first term was 4, our ratio is 3. And then they wanted the fifth term, which is why we did 5 minus 1. If they wanted the seventh term, we would do 7 minus 1. Remember to always do your exponents first. So 3 to the 4th power is 81, and then 81 times 4 is 324. Yes? There's more. Do you guys want to do well or not do well? Okay. Yes? Okay. Write the equation of a circle that has a center at negative 3, negative 2, and a radius of 3. So remember that you're writing your equations. The x value goes with the x, but remember it's going to be the opposite. So it's going to be a plus 3. For the y, it's going to be a plus 2. And remember, your radius is that number squared. So that's why it's 9. Questions?
No.
Okay, y equals x squared is shifted 2 units up and 3 units left. Write the new equation. My suggestion is to always make a graph. This vertex right here is at 0, 0. So I made a point at 0, 0. It says it shifted 2 units up, 1, 2, and 3 to the left, 1, 2, 3. My new vertex is -3, 2. So now what we're doing is we're taking this information and we're plugging it into this equation. So I have y equals, but I don't have x squared anymore because my x value is actually -3. So remember, when you put it into the parentheses, it's the opposite. So it'll be x plus 3 squared. And then your y value at the end is not in a parentheses, so it stays the same. So it's plus 2. Questions? Moving on then. This you guys asked me about yesterday. So, if the variance is 25, what is the standard deviation? All you do is take the square root of it, so that answer is 5. Hopefully that will be another very easy question. Okay, 6. Find 2 arithmetic means between 9 and 30. So remember, what we do is we see, okay, well, how many numbers are in between 9 and 30? We find that by subtracting. 30 minus 9 is 21. Then we're like, how many times would we have to add? Well, we'd have to add 1, 2, 3 times. So I take 21 divided by 3 and we get 7. So that means 9 plus 7 is 16. 16 plus 7 is, and your double check is adding 7 again, and it does make 30. So my 2 arithmetic means are 16 and 23. If they had just said what would be the first arithmetic mean, the answer would just be 16. Questions? Next one. Oops. Log 2x minus log base 2 5 equals 3. First thing you want to do is condense. If it's subtraction, when you condense, it becomes division. Addition is multiplication, subtraction is division. So we change this to log base 2 of x divided by 5. I can't drop the log because there isn't a log on both sides, correct? So only thing I can do is change it to exponential form. So we change this, we get 2 to the 3rd power equals x over 5. 2 to the 3rd power is 8, so 8 equals x over 5, and then to get rid of the 5, I multiply by 5 to both sides to find that x equals 40. Questions? All right, looks like I have one last one. It says the equation 3x squared minus y squared minus 4y equals 24 is what type of conic section? You can see the answer right there. It's a hyperbola. But how did I know it was a hyperbola? Well, you have 2 squared terms, but one of them is a negative. If one of your square terms is a negative, it is automatically a hyperbola. How do you know when something is a circle? 2 squared terms and the coefficients are the number in front, are the same. Okay, so like this is an example of circle. If you had like x squared, we're just going to do x squared plus y squared equals 5. That's a circle. If I had 3x squared plus y squared, that would be a, no, ellipse. If I had y plus x squared equals 5, that is a parabola. And why is that a parabola? Only one squared term. This is an ellipse because the coefficients in front are different. With the circle, you could have like a 2 here. The coefficients are going to be the same.
Wait, which one subtracts from one another?
The subtracted ones is a hyperbola.
What if it's like x squared over 9 minus y squared over 4? That's
Yeah.
still a hyperbola?
Yes.
And that's the one you draw the lines and the crazy figures?
And you do the box.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions?